guys are.
Sorry, we ready to go or?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Interior radio room day. The radio room on board the Côte d'Ivoire. There are computer terminals, shortwave radios, maps on the walls, and a crew of technicians in white uniforms. There's a mist outside the window and an oil tank in the distance. The radio operator finishes typing a message into the keyboard and looks up to Richie.
Read it back to me so far, Pietro.
Dear Eli, I'm in the middle of the ocean. I haven't left my room in 4 days. I've never been more lonely in my life, and I think I'm in love with Margot. The radio operator looks to Richie. Richie nods.
New paragraph.
Richie takes a sip of a Bloody Mary.
Richie had retired from professional tennis at 26. His last match had been widely discussed in the media.
Insert. A copy of the Sporting Press magazine. On the cover, there is a photograph of Richie standing at the baseline of a tennis court. He wears no shoes and only one sock, and there are tears all over his face. The stains behind him are filled with confused fans. A caption across the page says, "Meltdown," in smaller letters. Tenenbaums suffers mid-match nervous collapse at the semis at windswept fields. Cut to Richie dictating to the radio operator.
Your friend, Richie. End of letter.
Richie signs a slip of paper and hands it to the radio operator. He wraps a scarf around his neck and goes out to the door.
For the past year, he had been traveling alone on an ocean liner called the Côte d'Ivoire and had seen both poles, 5 oceans, the Amazon, and the Nile.
Interior, library night. Eli stands at a podium reading from a book in a crowded audience. A telegram marked "Ship to Shore" is tucked into his coat pocket. His voice is quietly dramatic.
The crickets and the rust beetles scuttled among the nettles of such a thicket. "Vamonos, amigos," he whispered, and threw the busted leather fence scrawl over the loose weave of the saddlecock, and they rode on into the friscolating dusklight.
Eli looks up. He closes the book. The audience applaud uproariously.
Eli was an assistant professor of English literature at Brooks College. The recent publication of his second novel.
Insert. A copy of Eli Cash's latest novel, Old Custer. On the dust jacket, there's an illustration of an Indian in war paint with a long, bloody knife clasped in between his teeth and a yellow scalp hanging from his hand. Interior, lobby night. Eli walks among the card catalogs, surrounded by a crowd of admirers.
Had earned him a sudden, unexpected literary celebrity.
Cut to Eli standing near the circulation desk with a group of professors drinking cocktails.
Well, everyone knows Custer died at Little Bighorn. What this book presupposes is maybe he didn't.
Eli shrugs and smiles. Cut to Eli placing a call from a payphone in the lobby. He unfolds a newspaper clipping and looks at it while he waits. He says suddenly into the receiver,
"Now let me ask you something. Why would a reviewer make the point of saying someone's not a genius? I mean, do you think I'm especially not a genius? Isn't that..."
Someone gives Eli a book to sign. He scribbles his name on it and hands it back without looking. He says sadly,
"You didn't even have to think about it, did you?"
Interior bathroom night. In the bathroom of Margot's and Raleigh's apartment, Margot sits Indian style on the counter, painting her toenails red and talking into the telephone. There are cotton balls in between her toes, and she has a towel wrapped around her. Hot water runs full blast into the bathtub. A little black and white television set is tuned into the 6 o'clock news with the sound turned off. Margot whispers into the telephone.
Well, I just don't use that word lightly.
Margot takes a drag of the cigarette balanced up the edge of the sink. There is a knock on the door. Margot does not look up.
I have to go, Eli.
Margot hangs up the telephone. There's another knock.
Margot.
Raleigh has an English accent with a lisp. Margot answers without taking the cigarette out of her mouth.
Uh-huh.
May I come in, please?
Margot puts out her cigarette. She waves the smoke away and turns on a little electric fan and sprays perfume into the air with an atomizer. She reaches over and unlocks the door with her foot. Raleigh cracks open the door and looks inside. He is wearing red pajamas and a camel's hair bathrobe. He seems worried and intimidated.
Margot was married to the writer and neurologist Raleigh St. Clair.
Insert. A copy of Riley Sinclair's latest book, The Peculiar Neurodegenerative Inhabitants of the Kazawa Atoll. On the dust jacket, there's a photograph of Riley, dressed in a Speedo with goggles on top of his head on a beach, standing next to a Kasawa. The Kasawa stares at him curiously. Cut to Riley looking into the bathroom doorway.
How are you, my darling?
Fine, thank you.
Margot blows on her toenails.
You must eat something. Shall I make you dinner?
No, thank you.
Margot taps her fingers on the counter. The wooden one makes a clicking sound. She looks to Riley. Riley hesitates. He goes out and suddenly closes the door. Margot reaches over with her foot and locks it.
She was known for extreme secrecy. For example, none of the Tenenbaums knew she was a smoker, which she had been since the age of 12.
Margot opens a box of Q-tips. There's a cigarette hidden inside. She takes it out and lights it.
Nor were they aware of her first marriage and divorce to a recording artist in Jamaica.
Insert. A remaindered copy of Desmond Winston Manchester's Excise LP record Dynamite Stick. On the sleeve, there's a photograph of 5 Rastafarians standing in front of a metal shack. A younger Margot stands behind them, partly hidden in a door frame. She is dressed in a string bikini.
She
Okay.
kept a private studio in Mockingbird Heights under the name Helen Scott.
Okay, we could stop there.